This is the Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall.
Let's go nuts! It's Jimmy Nuts! Drive out with a car!
With your hosts, Mark Martinez.
Remember, just because you're trash doesn't mean you can't do great things.
And the English Professor.
It's called a garbage can, not a garbage cannot.
Hey, this is former WWE superstar Duke, the Dumpster Drosy, and you are listening to the Can Crushers Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to Can Crusher Spotlight. I am your host, Mark Martinez. Holy smokes, our last Can Crusher Spotlight with Matt Bish. A lot of you guys sent in some emails and were saying these were great stories. Please have Matt back on again real quick, guys. It was in the hopper. We were ready to do it, and we were going to do, but we switched some stuff around. So Matt is back on with us right now, and man, I can't wait to hear some more stories. You heard it Sunday. I'm stuttering because I still can't believe the Eric Young story. And a couple of you guys wrote in that was the grossest story that you've heard in a long time. So hopefully we get something like that again from Matt. Maybe we can turn this into every month, have him do his own little segment or something. Yeah, I don't know. If he can continue with stories like that, the guy's been in the business for roughly about 20 years, so he's got something. He does. He's got something, and as you heard, he managed the abyss last time. So, all right, I'm rambling, and I want to get Matt on the phone and find out what more stories we're going to hear. I'm excited. I really am, because I really enjoyed that last Can Crusher Spotlight. We did the normal stuff, but then we got into stories. Guys, after the interview, Matt and I talked probably for another hour and a half about this, that, and the other, and there's going to be some stories from that down the line. So, enough. Enough is enough, Mark. Shut up. And let's hear from Al Snow talking about Collar and Elbow. Guys, when you check out from Collar and Elbow, use the promo code Can Crushers. All one word, capital C in Can, capital C in Crushers, and you'll get 10% off. Hats, hoodies, tees, great designs, and they're comfortable. I'm telling you, the other guys always tell you how comfortable are. They're amazing. If there's anything you like about Collar and Elbow, it's the comfort of the shirt. I really hope that Collar and Elbow helps make some of my shirts someday. I do. All right, here's Al Snow, and then right in with Matt Bish for part 2 of this ongoing saga.
Wrestling. A love and a passion we all share. I've started a wrestling brand. The wrestling brand. A brand founded on the aspects of wrestling. Two entities working together to create a product that connect emotionally for people everywhere. Collar and Elbow is the brand. Passion and love for wrestling is the drive. I am Al Snow, and this is Collar and Elbow, the wrestling brand.
I'm Marvelous Matt Bish. I don't know how you stumbled upon this podcast. Must be some dumb luck. Maybe you hit a wrong button. But here we are. You're watching the Can Crushers podcast. And you know what? Tell those morons that I sent you, and maybe they'll treat you a little better. See ya.
And welcome back to Can Crushers. We have on the line once again the marvelous one, Mr. Matt Bish. Matt, how are you doing this week?
Well, let's see. After I changed my phone number, I'm trying to figure out how you got this number.
I have one more that I could possibly use in my pocket to get another one, but I don't know.
It's called stalking.
It is called stalking. And let me tell you, I want to say we got a ton of emails in about your Eric Young story, about you pissing blood. I guess my fans love when you piss blood, so I got to give you props. I got to give you props for that story.
Well, that's probably the best story I have. It's for me. It's like the most memorable one for various reasons.
Well, pissing blood would be on the top of my memory all the time. It really would. So,
well, I actually have a good story to start off with.
Good. Shoot. Go with your story. It's story time from you, and we'll get to some questions down the road. I'll stop you and ask a question or two, but go ahead. Start with your story.
This had to be about, 2005, 2006, so I wasn't quite into wrestling yet. I was helping out for like various companies doing, the stuff that everybody normally does, set up chairs, stuff like that.
Workers,
so
yeah.
This would have been in Punxsutawney, and it was I don't know if you're familiar with the Dice Man, the wrestler that we had here who tragically passed away in an accident. Oh God.
I do know the Dice. I remember the name. Yeah,
15 some odd years ago. There had been we had been doing a memorial show for every year since then, and the one year we had Brutus Beefcake on, and this would have been during the intermission, and every year we did an auction. Okay. And, to raise money for the Dice Man Memorial Fund, which was a scholarship that went to one of the graduating students at the high school, and so you just raffle off a whole bunch of stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And I was in the ring. Yeah, I was in the ring. Helping out. If I remember correctly, Cato was the auctioneer.
We're good friends with Cato. Yeah.
Yeah, and he might not even remember this story, to tell you the truth. And then Dr. Feelgood was in there, too. He was the local, one of the local fan favorite. Him and Cato used to be Freebirds 2000 a long time ago.
I need to ask Cato about that.
He might remember that. He might get mad at me for even mentioning that. So, oh, wait, this is live, isn't it? Damn.
Yeah.
Oh, well, might as well keep going now. But, so they're in the ring, and somebody threw in money and said, "Hey, give you $20 if Matt gets his hair cut by Brutus." And I promptly shake my head no, because back then I had a good decent amount of hair. Okay, I was proud of it.
Luscious hair, right?
It was. It was nice. I had a lot of it. I liked it, and I just looked up and said no. And then people started throwing more money into the ring. And I was like thinking, and I'm going to be bald. So it's like, I was like, I'm still going no. And then all of a sudden, it's like they started counting up all the money, and there was over $300 in the ring.
Oh, wow. So you have to then.
Feelgood looked at Cato. Cato looked at Feelgood. And then they both looked at me. And I was like, damn. So Brutus comes into the ring, and he gives me probably the worst haircut I've ever had in my life. For a guy that claims to be a barber for over 30 years, he sucks.
Bro, did he use the hedge clippers?
Oh, no. Thank God he didn't. But he had the razor and the smaller clippers, and he cut this horrible racing stripe into the side of my head. It was bad. It was like he cut off the back and the front, and it was just, if you look somewhere on my Facebook, there are pictures of it.
I might have to find that for the podcast and make that the thumbnail this week. That's got to be.
Feel free to look through it. So we went backstage afterwards, and he finished shaving my head bald, by the way.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. And I can't remember for the life of me who he wrestled that. I know he wrestled that, and I think he wrestled Doink the Clown.
Oh, my
One
God.
of the various Doink.
Right.
One of the various Doink the Clowns. I can't remember which one it was, but he wrestled Doink, I believe. But I come back out later in the night because Feel Good is wrestling in a 4-way match, so I wanted to get my revenge on him. So I come out wearing a mask, which I believe was a Patriot mask.
Okay.
And I get up on the ring apron to try to interfere and distract him, and he ripped the mask off my head, and everyone saw my new freshly shaved head, and I didn't like it, and I ran. What was worse is I had to go to work. I had to go to work the next day, and nobody at my legit day job at that time, not the job I'm at now, I was working somewhere else then, and they like, what happened to you? Because I came in wearing a bandana. Just not feeling well. Wanted to wear a bandana. And then somebody said, no, I was at this show. Crap. So then, I proceeded to get made fun of for like the next month or two till my hair grew back.
But that had to be an honor.
It just never grew back the same after that.
Yeah, tell me about it. I took a haircut about 15 years ago, and my front has still not grown back.
Oh.
But honestly, Matt, that had to have been an honor. Like, you got your hair cut by Brutus the Barber Beefcake. You know, he cut adorable Adrian Adonis's hair. He's got so many hairs that's pretty cool.
Well, let me put it this way. I still have the clippers that he used.
Did he sign them?
No, because he had left before then. But they're still in my curio case, and they still have my hair kind of in them.
Oh, well, that's even better. Maybe you can paste it back on that bald head of yours.
I did meet Brutus at a show later on, like a couple years down the line, and I had all these Polaroid pictures and from that night, and he autographed every single one, and remembered that night, and he must have autographed like 15 of these Polaroid pictures, and I, in the process of putting them in one big large frame along with an 8x10 and putting it up in my office.
That's cool. That's a great story. I would let Brutus cut my hair. I really would, just to say he cut my hair.
At the time it sucked, but it's like at the same time it's like, this is Brutus Beefcake who cut like everybody's hair.
Yeah. Hey,
lately I've been watching him in his feud with Johnny V, and he must have shaved his head like 4 or 5 times.
Oh my God, all the time. Johnny V never had a good haircut. Never.
Well, he did up until 1987.
Well, all right, touche. Speaking of things that you've been watching recently, I got another email in about you. Apparently, I forgot to ask you what recent wrestling that you're watching now. Are you staying up to date with WWE or AEW or NWA or anything like that?
I watch the pay-per-views. I catch the stuff that occasionally goes on. I'm up to date on it. Like I watched Money in the Bank, and I liked that ladder match. It was funny. It was different, and to have the men and the women both like fighting at the same time and interaction and stuff, it was kind of cool.
All right, well then I'm going to reverse it to WrestleMania then. Did you enjoy, because we have different aspects on that Money in the Bank one between me and you. I like the Boneyard and I like the Firefly Funhouse. I think the Money in the Bank, they did stupid stuff just to do stupid stuff.
Well, I could see what they were going for. They were going for like action, but at the same time they wanted to stick some comedy in there. And because remember, they still try to gear it towards children, but at the same time they wanted to like stick in these references to stuff from the past. You know, that's why although they could have done a better job at the Doink the Clown cameo, and they're like actually had a Doink in the outfit and makeup that matched.
Yeah, that was a bad Doink.
But it's like seeing Brother Love that was funny, you know. The stuff like that, the stuff with Paul Heyman and Otis, you know, just to lead into a food fight. You know, nobody asked why the hell was Paul Heyman there at a buffet by himself. Come on, you knew what was going to happen.
Right.
You know, it's just the Stephanie McMahon cameo, I guess, was okay, where Dana Brooke like grabbed the briefcase and it wasn't the actual briefcase, but still it's funny though.
Yeah, why do they have $1 million hanging in their boardroom?
Well, actually, here's the thing about that, the truth about that is there actually is at Titan Towers a Money in the Bank conference room, and that was an actual prop that was always in that conference room. It's actually called the Money in the Bank conference room.
Wow, did not know that.
So that was like the actual prop that was in there. They didn't do anything to that room. That was the actual room. It's what it's called.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you, so all right, since we just talked about WWE, how about AEW? Did you watch the Stadium Stampede of All Hell Goes Wild match? Or whatever the hell they called it?
The Stadium Stampede.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious that Sammy Guevara outran a horse.
I thought it was hilarious that Sammy Guevara got back suplexed 100 yards.
That too. I like the stuff with Ortiz and Santana and Matt Hardy, where they had him in the pool and he went through the different incarnations of Matt Hardy.
Yeah.
You know, the stuff like that is hilarious.
The bar scene with Hangman and Hager was great. It was like an old Western.
Yeah. I got a quick Matt Hardy story. It's not really well, I guess it could be funny, but it's not really much. I was at another APWF show, and Matt Hardy was there, and this was the area when Matt he wasn't quite in WWE, but he wasn't like going to Ring of Honor. It was the stuff. It was the stuff that was going on between Edge and Lita.
Okay.
And Matt Hardy, and he was going on. Okay, so it was during that time frame. So Matt was at this show, and I brought like a whole bunch of stuff from the sign. You know, thinking like, okay, he'll autograph one thing, and so I put a DVD on the table, and he's like, "What's all the other stuff?" I was like, "Oh, well, I was going to I'll sign it all." Okay, cool. Let's just say that Matt Hardy was a little, we'll just say coked out of his mind.
Oh, under the weather?
So, yeah, we'll go with that. And so he starts autographing I brought him one of the SmackDown games, and he's autographing that. And he's talking about how much he didn't like Vince. And then there's this one card where, one of these wrestling cards where he was given the Twist of Fate to Edge. And he X's out Edge's face and puts douchebag underneath it, and then signed his name on the card.
Nice. That was real heat. That was real heat between him and Edge and Lita back then.
Yeah. He signed that for one of my friends, and I believe my friend still has that card. I wanted that card off him so bad, but he won't sell that one, and I don't blame him.
Right.
But yeah, X'd out Edge's face, put the word douchebag underneath, and then signed it.
That's
but
great.
Matt Hardy was pretty cool. He was pretty cool. And then when he found out my name was Matt, he was like, "Oh, that," you know. He started making some sort of references and stuff. I had no idea what he was talking about. So, but like, yeah, Matt Hardy was pretty cool. That was my quick Matt Hardy story. There was another one where he was at IWC, and I watched him wrestle AJ Styles at IWC.
Yes, we actually just rewatched that on the IWC network. That was a hell of a match.
If you look opposite hard camera, you'll see me there in the background.
Oh man! So you're making me rewatch that again? I mean, it was a great card, but I don't know if I want to watch it just to see you.
I'm about 3-4 rows back.
Wow! All right, there you go. Check that out.
I'm actually friends with Bryce Remsberg, who I've known for a long time, the senior official for AEW, and he helped me. He used to help me get autographs of all the wrestlers, and then I knew some of them, and some of them you actually become friends with when you get them to sign stuff because they start to know you. Like, I had AJ Styles. He would autograph IWC DVDs for me every time I saw him. And then I guess during his run with New Japan, he was wrestling for a company called PWE out in Harrisburg, I think it was.
Yeah, I believe so.
And a few of my friends were on the show, and he knew I worked with them in another company. And he goes, "Hey, you guys friends with Matt Bish?" And they go, "Well, yeah, why?" He's like, "Well, tell him I said hi." I didn't know AJ Styles was following my wrestling career from when I started wrestling.
Wow.
And he still kept in track probably over 10 years later.
That means something. AJ freaking Styles.
Yeah. And it's like, I was like, wow.
So
wow.
You brought up your good friends with, and this is something that we didn't talk about off air, but I'm going to bring it up anyway. You're good friends with Bryce Remsberg. How did that become about?
Well, I did a show for my high school graduation, and back in 2003, and I was having talent brought in with the APWF, and we booked these guys from this company called Chikara. We just started. Chikara was literally just starting out then too.
Yeah, brand new.
And they brought in 6 wrestlers and a referee. Bryce was the referee. The guys I got was Mike Quackenbush, Eddie Kingston, Icarus, Gran Akuma, Blackjack Marciano, and one guy who didn't really stick around long enough was DJ Skittles.
DJ Skittles, that's a great name.
So he was basically he looked like a taller, thicker version of Eminem, if I remember correctly. So we're backstage, and Bryce had come up to me and asked, "Hey, if I could get them I'm not going to lie, I didn't pay them much to come in because they didn't ask for much. Okay, but you got 7 guys coming in one van where they basically wrestled for gas money coming in from Allentown, okay, to Punxsutawney. So he's like, "Can you any way you can get us, something to eat?" I was like, "I'll tell you what, you guys put on a 5-star match and I'll see what I could do." Well, they put on arguably the best match of the night because they did their normal Chikara stuff, So I go to the concession area, and my mother was actually running the concessions.
Mama Bish.
I said, yeah. I said, "Can I have that box of pizza?" I said, I promised the Chikara guys that they put on a 5-star match, I was going to get them a slice of pizza. And these were Fox's Big Daddies that were cut differently to get more pieces out of them.
Yep.
So those guys probably had 24 slices of pizza because I brought them the whole box and said, "Here," and became pretty much lifelong friends with all of them. Anytime I see Eddie Kingston, he still calls me the pizza guy.
Eddie Kingston right now, not to change the subject, but is killing it on NWA. That's if you can reach in, and if I can do a favor for you, if you can reach out to Eddie Kingston and say, "Hey, you need to go on Can Crushers," that right there, Mr. Marvelous Matt Bish would be awesome.
Thanks for putting me on the spot.
Just saying. If that could happen anytime down the line in the near future of 2 weeks or a day, no, but Eddie Kingston is somebody that right now has the NWA in the palm of his hands. He really does the shit that he's doing.
I'll have my people call his people.
And somebody call me then, because if you're just calling his people, it's not going to get anywhere. It needs to come back to me.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see. Maybe when I make that trip to the Marvelous Towers in Chicago, I'll get to hang with the Eddie Kingston.
Well, you more likely will get to spend time with Al Roberts instead.
Oh boy, I can't wait for that.
Well, yeah.
Okay, what we got on topic next?
So, what else did you think about the Double or Nothing pay-per-view besides the Stampede? Because the Stampede was great, but man, I love the way that Cody's booking stuff. I really do. I just love the freshness of AEW.
I like to see where Brian Cage is going to be going with Taz.
Yeah.
And because I guess at the next pay-per-view, it's going to be Brian Cage and Jon Moxley for the title because he won that ladder match.
Yeah, Tony Khan put that out pretty much Monday that, you know, he's cashing in. I think it's the next pay-per-view is Fyter Fest that they're going to do in June.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The only thing I didn't really like is how he ripped that ladder apart when he came to the ring.
He's a big man.
I'm not doubting that one bit. I just didn't. It just seemed a little corny to me, but I'm not going to tell him no.
Yeah, ran into him one time as well at IWC.
Literally?
No, not literally. No, I saw one of his matches and he was hanging out at IWC as well. The line was unbelievable to see him, so I at least went up after show and said, "Hey, you know, great match." You know, gave him his props, but he is as big as he is on TV, if not bigger in person. He is a large human being.
Oh, I believe it.
Unbelievable. So, go ahead.
I was going to say another thing I really liked is I liked Cody Rhodes and Lance Archer. I like that one. I mean, with Jake the Snake Roberts out there and Arn Anderson and I guess to an extent even Mike Tyson, it was an interesting match and seeing Cody win that after. I thought it was a pretty decent match.
Tyson, I think, sold the match. I love Tyson and part of it. But a question just came to my head, actually. You brought up Jake the Snake Roberts, and I don't know if you've ever worked with him or ever, you know, been around snakes in general. I mean, I
hate snakes.
Oh, so
Jake the Snake I have not, but I have worked with a man called the Snake Man, Devin Michaels.
Okay.
And there is this one time, okay, let's just say I got on his bad side and he caught me in the ring and gave me a Samoan drop. And the next thing I know, there's this boa laying on my chest.
No way.
And I hightailed it out of the ring as quickly as I could, backwards, stumbled on some camera equipment, did like a reverse roll, right back to my feet, did not stop, and went right out the door. And then found a shower, and took a shower, still wearing my tuxedo and all my gear.
Full tuxedo shower. The sliminess.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. I've never, nor do I want, a snake crawling on me. Do you just feel, I mean, you had a tuxedo on, but do you still feel the sliminess of them?
It was weird. It just, it's not like having a dog or a cat lay on you and they move around, okay? It's
wow.
You know, it's way different. It's just way different, and it's just like the way it was moving. It's just like it just slides up and down you, and
and you know it can take your life at any second.
I nearly pissed my pants. That's for damn sure.
Any other run-ins with snakes? God, that's unbelievable. Please tell me you didn't.
Yeah. Well, I didn't, but let's put it this way. It was a good thing I was wearing black. Let's just say, down in Uniontown, I manage a guy nowadays by the name of Big, who has been around forever down there.
I think he's done a few shows up around this neck of the woods, like charity ones. He's a good guy.
Yeah, and he's been around for quite a while. So this was during a time where I wasn't managing him, but he used to carry around a snake for a little while as well. So I go to use the bathroom, and I go in, and all of a sudden I look in the sink, and there's a damn python sitting in the sink. And I screamed so loud and went to go run out of the bathroom that I literally forgot to open the door and smashed face first right into the door. And then I opened the door, and there's 20 people looking at me. And all I said was like, you don't want to go in there. And then just casually tried to walk away.
You face planted against the door.
Oh yeah. I'm lucky I didn't bust my nose open before I went to the ring.
Oh my God. What was he doing? Giving his snake a bath, or what the hell was that about?
Well, I guess with snakes you gotta kind of keep them wet. So he figured the sink was the perfect place to put it. I disagree.
At least warn people.
Or put a sign on the door.
Snake in progress.
Yeah, snake and sink. That's all you had to put.
Was this the the talent bathroom, or was it just one bathroom in the whole arena?
Well, no, this was a talent bathroom. I could only imagine if it was with the fans.
Right.
No, this is a talent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's a lawsuit there. There's a lawsuit all over that. If, little grandma or, grandpa taking little Johnny into the bathroom and boom, here's a snake waving at you. Hello?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. What else can I talk about?
Well, I got one last question that popped in. We talked about Trevor Gauge a lot last show as well.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to know how you guys kind of met, and I know how you guys became Marvelous, Enterprises and everything, but you were scouting him long before.
Well, his very first match, I guess one of his very first, if not his first match, was actually against me in a battle royal.
What?
Yeah. It was. If it wasn't his first, it was one of his very first matches. It was a battle royal, and I was in it. So it's one of the very first times I remember meeting him. I was in the ring with him. And he was one of the last few guys in the ring in this battle royal. And you know me, I'm an equal opportunist. I'll take any advantage I can to win a battle royal. You have to in those things.
Right.
And he didn't see me. And I literally kicked him in the ass and then threw him over the top rope. Rookie's got to learn. That's how you learn.
Did you know right then and there that, though, he had something?
Oh, yes. Yes. Because when you're in a battle royal, you have to look around and watch everyone. You have to have your head on a swivel. And this kid caught my eye. And he was handling his own in there. And I was like, the kid might have something. I mean, he was in a tag team with his worthless cousin. We don't want to talk about him. Well, we might have to talk about him.
Well, next question is, of course, you probably ended up winning that battle royal, right?
I was screwed out of that battle royal.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Well, it came down to myself and Scott Sarin, Trevor Gage's cousin. The guy I don't like. Well, we had been feuding on and off for quite a few years. So if anybody knows him, it's me. On the downside, that also means that he knows me pretty well, too.
Right.
So it comes down to me and him in this battle royal. I go to throw him over the top rope. And then I started celebrating to the crowd. And I turn around, and his foot is hanging between the top and middle rope, and he's hanging upside down with no way to get out. Well,
okay.
I thought it was just going to be an easy victory. So I go over, and I proceed to punch away at his knee because I figured, why the hell not? And then I get his foot out only to get my hand caught in the ropes. So now I'm stuck.
Sorry.
Not cool. Not cool. So I finally get my hand free, broke 2 of my knuckles on my left hand, and I go to finish off Scott Sarah, and he hits me in the gut, pulls me over the top rope, and we're fighting on the ring apron. And finally, I got the upper hand and knocked him off the ring apron and won the match. Oh, okay, he knocked me down onto the ring apron, and I might have kicked him in the penis, and then he fell off the ring apron. But people don't need to know that part.
Okay.
So I stand up and start celebrating my victory, and all of a sudden, this late entry, well, let's just say a girl came in and shoved me off the ring apron to win the Battle Royal. And this girl was actually the daughter of the man that we were doing this Memorial Battle Royal for. And so I got eliminated from a Battle Royal by a 17-year-old girl.
You and women, not so good. Not so good together, huh?
It doesn't usually work out in my favor.
Why is that?
I just have bad luck with women. Story of my life.
You're a handsome man. I mean, you should just be able to.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. God, I don't know where the hell to go now because you got snakes wrapped all around. You got women kicking your ass, and I don't know. I really don't. What do you got in the hopper for me? You got to bring something now because I don't know how you beat that. You went from a haircut to getting your ass kicked by snakes and a 17-year-old girl beating you. Doesn't sound like you've had a great career.
Oh, come on. I don't know if you remember this, but I used to have a Marvelous title. Held that thing 14 times.
That's almost as many times
24 hours.
R-Truth has held the whatever title that he calls it.
I had my championship first.
Okay. Let's talk about the Marvelous title. How did this come into play?
Well, okay, this would have been 2013 maybe, and I was working for Phoenix Pro Wrestling. And we had this one guy, his name was Gospod Nostikov. Say that 5 times fast.
God bless you.
But, yeah, he was my Russian champion, and he had this championship, the Soviet championship. Well, let's just say he had a change in philosophy and became Abraham only, and he was basically a hired hitman. We'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
And we go to the ring one night, and he just throws the championship down and says he doesn't want it. I ask him, "Hey, can I have it?" He goes, "Yeah, sure, it's yours." Neat. So then I took the belt, renamed it the Marvelous title, added some cool-looking stickers to it, and defended it. It was on the line 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but only as long as a referee and a cameraman were around. And you needed both of them.
So the WWE clearly got the 24/7 championship from you.
Oh, clearly. But I defended that title anytime I could. I defended it on a playground. I defended it. I defended it in the middle of the Sci-Fi in the Valley Con. In the Jaffa, where they used to run WWF and WCW all the time.
Yep.
I was in the middle of the con, and this man, I don't know if you ever heard of the Cambria County Green Man.
I have. My God, yes.
God rest his soul, because he's not with us. But he comes up behind me and rolls me up and pins me for my own title in the middle of the con. and then he starts to run away, but I managed to get up and clock him from behind, win my title back, and run right out of the building and stop long enough to say hi to Dante from Clerks.
That's a great place. I'm going to throw a little promo in here, and I hope you've been there. Favorite place to eat in Altoona is Al's Tavern. Please tell me you've been there.
Oh, yes, I have.
That's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, and if anybody out there listening to this,
go out there and stop by.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Anytime there's wrestling down in Altoona, we stop there for a few beverages, their wings, their burger. They're great. Nice little promo. There you go for Al Savern.
One last thing before we end this.
Okay.
Is I actually did wrestle and win a match in the Jaffa in Altoona.
Against who?
It was a 6-man tag team match where I teamed with that green guy and Tyler Caton of the Starlight Gaze, and we defeated the 7-foot-tall Corey Brinkman. He was big. The monster Dragontis, who kind of looked like Papa Shango and scared me a lot, and big time Corey Bush, who was a rather large man.
Rather large man.
I don't know how we won, but we won. And so I could say I won a match in the middle of I won a wrestling match in the Jaffa in Altoona.
Let's stick with that for a minute, because I've seen a lot of WWF, WCW, WWE, whatever the hell it was when it was actually there. Did you go there a lot when they had pop-up shows? I love that place for wrestling. I really do. It's built. We saw a lot of big-time wrestling there as well. Did you go a lot?
Unfortunately, I didn't, because, to tell you the truth, I've only really went to one WWF show in my life. And it was 1994 at the Mid-Hudson Civic Center in Poughkeepsie, New York. The only WWF, WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, all of that's the only one I ever been to, because when I had moved to Pennsylvania back in the mid-90s, we had the local companies, APWF, KCW, IWC, and we went to those. We didn't go to WWE because these shows were cheaper. And I got to see guys that were in TNA and WWE and ECW on these shows. So we didn't bother going to WWF shows.
That's actually where we are now. This question,
I'm not dissing anybody that goes to a WWE show.
No, me neither.
Because if that's what you want to do, that's great. You know, as long as you're supporting wrestling in some ways. If WWE was in town and I had nothing else going on, yeah, I would probably go. But it's like I could go and watch guys like Jerry Lynn and New Jack and Balls Mahoney, and you'd go and see the Bushwhackers and Hacksaw Jim Duggan and the Iron Sheik and Demolition. You know, you can go see all these guys. They were still wrestling.
Yeah.
And I knew who they were because I've been tape trading forever. So it's like I knew who everybody was. And so I would go and take my Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazine, whatever I had at the time, and I would go and get all the wrestlers to sign. But it was easier to get autographs, too. So I would go to these indie shows.
That's actually one of the things that just got brought up this week. We talked about it a little bit on Sunday's show, that house shows are going to become a thing of the past. And let me ask you this, that I was trying to get the other two idiots to agree with. It's because indie is now so much more prominent that people would rather go see, and I'll bring her up again, an up-and-coming Britt Baker or an up-and-coming Adam Cole or, Corey Graves when he was in IWC, or, those names, Trevor Gauge, legit, let's say this, Trevor Gauge wrestling anywhere in the Tri-County because he's going to make it. And you're getting to see him and become a friend with him, like you said, now.
My thing is, I think house shows will be back. I think eventually, and this is just my opinion, okay? I think that eventually everything is going to end up going back the way it was. I think sports are going to be back the way it was. I don't see a lot of these changes really sticking around, especially when the NBA and the NHL and MLB realize that they're losing tons of money by not having the full potential of the fans in their buildings and stuff like that, and they're going to end up putting pressure on the government
the lighten these sanctions to where I'm pretty sure it's eventually going to go back to what it was. I'm not saying anytime soon, but I'm going to say people are going to get fed up pretty quick when you can't go personally and watch your favorite team play, or you can't personally go to a wrestling show because you're only allowed 100 people in the building.
This question was brought up to us, Ashley, on Ask Can Crusher, so I'm going to bring it out to you now for our next Ask Can Crushers. I'll ask you, how about if let's stick with IWC since we've both mentioned them a couple times. Okay. IWC runs 2 shows, okay? They run a show at 1 o'clock on Saturday, then they run a show at 7 o'clock on Saturday. They allow 200 people in both shows. You can't go to both shows because they're the same. Just way they get their 400 people from a normal show. Do you see maybe them doing something like that? And I know you're not Justin Plummer, but I'm just throwing this at you. Do you think you make your same money, but you're just making a longer day for production, the talent, and fans, essentially? Do you think something like that could happen?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I could see that, but you got to remember at the same time, in the state of Pennsylvania, the athletic commission is still going to get their money no matter what.
Right.
So if you have 2 shows, you're going to be paying them twice. That's why a lot of companies run only like once a month. Yeah. You only have to pay the athletic commission once, and I know, and those fees aren't cheap.
No.
Okay. So, and you got to remember, you got to pay whatever building you're in, unless you got your own building or you got a nice deal with a building. You got to pay for that. You got to pay. Sometimes you got to pay concessions. Bring your own concessions. Your talent. Some of those guys, you tell me there's going to be 2 shows, I'm going to ask you to pay me twice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I do.
I mean, I could see that. I could see, a lot of the bigger companies doing that. I mean, and don't get me wrong, unless you strike a certain deal with wrestlers, some of them will come in and say, "We'll work 2 shows for one price" because they're already there. I'm just saying, if it was me, I'd say, I'll work both your shows, but you're going to pay me twice. That's my thing. Maybe that's why I don't get a lot of bookings nowadays.
Well, you're not getting a lot right now because nothing's going on.
But you see where I'm getting at.
I completely
it's like double
agree.
The expenses.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is going to be me being a shit stirrer for the other 2 when I asked that them. Yeah. Mine is, now you're putting, Wrestler X now has 2 matches that night, and now that's putting him or her into harm's way double now. So, there's that risk of an injury.
There's a lot of variables.
Yeah, is it worth it? That and that's where I'm going. So I would say I hope they don't do that.
Okay, also look at it this way. Say you got the heavyweight champion, and he's scheduled to defend his title both times. Okay. Now, what if he loses on the day show? Do you pay to come see that second show to see the other guy or to see the champion?
Right.
That you wanted to see.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, say you got you got Drew McIntyre defending the WWE title in the early card against MVP, and in the late card he's going to defend it against Seth Rollins. Now you really want to see Drew McIntyre defend the title, but you can only make it to the second show. Are you still going to go to that second show if you find out that Drew McIntyre loses the title to MVP on the earlier show and is now MVP and Seth Rollins for the WWE title?
No.
You see where I'm...
I agree. No, I agree. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It might cause a riot.
As a fan, you don't know what you're going to see, what's going to happen.
Right.
Now, I don't know how many companies would actually do that, but it's just something to think about.
Right. It could cause a riot. If you want to see Drew against Seth on the late show and it doesn't happen, speaking of riots, In the 80s, there was a Ricky Morton always talks about being white heat, and they had to kind of escort the Midnight Express out, or whoever the Rock and Roll Express was going against, and maybe got the win. But they had to get him out of the building right after the match. Have you ever had anything like that, been part of a riot or anything?
Oh, there's been a couple times. There's this one time where down in UCW, another time during 2012, there was a hot time down there. You know, it was a lot of wrestling around the area there. And I was managing my team of Pat Anthony and Sugar Steve Flash against TJ Sykes and Skull. Skull is now known as Sickened of Riot City.
Yep, I knew that.
And the stipulation of the match was if they won, they would get 5 minutes in the ring with me. Because let's just say I put them through a lot of shit. So, yeah. So I would deserve it. And so, of course, the crowd down there, let's just say, it was predominantly African American. And I thought it was a smart thing to wear a Run DMC shirt to the ring.
Oh my God, this is going bad already.
That it didn't gain me any friends, that's for sure. I like Run DMC. I thought everybody else did too.
Yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah. So of course they lose the match, and so they're trying to get me. And the first thing I decided to do was duck for cover and go underneath the ring. Except when I came out on the other side, they were standing there waiting for me.
Not too fast,
so
huh?
TJ and Sicken, they threw me in the ring and ate a super kick or two. Got beat up by my own chain. And eventually my guys came out to save me because, they kind of kidnapped TJ Sykes' girlfriend and held her hostage and basically did a trade. And that's how I got free.
Oh, okay. I was going to say a trade for what, but her for you. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm not condoning kidnapping, but in this case it helped me. So, there you go.
In the crowd at that point was just in your face?
Oh, yeah, they wanted to kill me and my guys. They would have lynched us if they could have. We get out of the show that night, and they're trying to find out which car is mine, and luckily for me, they didn't, and unlucky for somebody else who shall remain nameless, it wasn't so lucky for him.
It wasn't any the Marvelous Enterprise members or anybody that you were managing at that point?
No, none of my guys.
Oh, so somebody else's car.
Out of respect, we're just not going to say whose car was vandalized, but they slashed 4 of his tires and broke out his windows.
This is unbelievable. I won't ask who because I don't want to have somebody come back on me, then have to come back on you, because we need to keep this friendship going. Yeah.
Right, because then I'll deny I ever know you.
Of course you would. Of course you would. Everybody denies that. My own friends deny that half the time.
Well, I've seen your friends. I deny you too.
Well, I deny most of them as well. Is that the only riot that you've been in?
Did I talk about the one with Steve Carino?
I think you briefed on it last time, so that's why I brought up riots again.
This was APWF and they were at the K Arena in Indiana, PA, which is now a FedEx building, I think.
Oh boy!
But it used to be they used to do rodeos in there. Okay, there was rodeos. They did boxing, wrestling. There was 2 bars. It was a nice place. It was huge. So this time it was, I remember it was Steve Carino versus Dr. Feelgood. And Steve Carino is an interesting guy. He's caused a riot or two in his career.
Slightly, yeah. You can read about him.
Oh, yeah. Ever read one about the one he calls at the Ring of Honor show in Manhattan, I think it was?
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So the crowd's getting a little, we'll just say restless and drunk, and they start throwing bottles and stuff at the ring. I'm at ringside. I'm the ringside cameraman for this show. And at one point he leans down and he had his tag team partner Ricky Landell there, and they both looked at me and was like, if a riot happens, get in the ring and we will protect you. And I looked, and this is not your normal size wrestling ring. We call it a pony ring because it's shorter. It's small. You could literally step up and you're on the ring apron.
Okay.
And I looked at him and I said, if a riot happens, I'm joining the crowd. I mean, luckily a riot did not happen, but I'm pretty sure Steve Carino would have fought for me, I think, maybe. Or he would just ran, but...
I was at an event, I want to say it was 98 in Monaca. It was an ECW event. Monaca down by Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the Golden Dome, where they did a lot of tapings. Sabu was in the ring. I don't know if it was Dreamer, if it was Sandman. It was one of those two, but they all got involved anyway. End of the match, Sabu takes the loss. People were pissed. They were legit pissed, so they started throwing bottles into the ring. I think Sandman won, but they didn't want him to win. You know how that goes sometimes.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Sabu gets drilled by this full bottle of pop. He gets instantly red, pissed, picks up one of the broken tables, and rifles it out into the crowd. After that happened and the guy is laying on the ground, this was not the main event. They turn the house lights on and say, have a good night, everyone. Drive home safe. Didn't see Douglas against the Bam Bam Bigelow that night. See you, go home.
Yeah. And I bet that didn't help matters at all.
Not at all. That place went fucking crazy. It went crazy. You're linked to be on some shows because Shane Douglas has always been. I saw him very, very young in his career in Indiana, Pennsylvania, right after training with Dominic DiNucci. Mankind, Mick Foley, whatever the hell you want to call him, was there as well. Saw them in Indiana. Did you ever cross paths with Shane in a locker room or anything?
Actually, yes, I did. Okay. I was on a show in Big Run, Pennsylvania, which is literally a stone throw away from Punxsutawney.
Literally.
At the War Memorial there. And on the show was Shane Douglas, Sabu, Virgil showed up.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, he just literally showed up. Also, Ace Austin was there. G-Raver. Facade. Let's think about it. Yeah, it was an interesting... And I remember I'm getting ready to set up my merchandise table. And my valet at the time, and I'm not going to mention her by name, so,
okay.
said, hey, why don't you sit over there by Virgil? I was like, no, because he won't leave me alone the whole night, and two, I don't like him.
I want to sell something, too. Nobody goes over by him.
For my own personal reasons, I don't like him. And so I waited to see where he put his table, and I set mine up on the opposite side of the room.
Brilliant.
And it just so happened I sat at my table next to Shane Douglas. So when I wasn't doing my match and stuff, I was in the opening match. And here's the thing. I was managing as a face in the opening match, which 2015 at the time was a weird time for me to be a face.
Okay.
But the promoter thought since we were so close to Punxsutawney that people were going to cheer for me because I was a face. It didn't work. After I yelled, "Come on!" After I yelled, "Come on, baby," and clapped a few times. I had nothing else after that.
Right.
It just didn't work. I mean, I ended up taking a running sprint and kicking a guy in the dick, but the fans cheered for that. That was about it.
Did you get to intermingle with Shane at all? Ask him any random questions?
Oh, yeah. Well, Shane Douglas asked me a question. He asked me about Punxsutawney and asked, "Do I know my way around there?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I know my way around." So I was giving him like directions through Punxsutawney and stuff like that. And because we have it, I direct him to an excellent restaurant we have there, appropriately called Gimmicks.
I've been there.
If you ever go on wing night,
do I need to?
Yes, you should.
Okay.
Wing and pizza night. Usually it's on Wednesdays. I think it's on Thursdays now when they open back up.
Get
their wings. And that's where I gave Shane Douglas directions to.
Nice.
And I sat there. He knew why I sat on the other side of the room. and actually, he did something pretty cool for me. He signed a XPW DVD. Okay.
Oh, nice.
It was their first deathmatch tournament, but on the cover was a picture of Shane Douglas and Chris Candido. I had already had Chris Candido's autograph on that thing years before, and he looked at that, and I think I almost made the man cry.
Probably.
When he saw Candido's autograph, I was like, "I'm sorry." It's like, "I didn't want to make you cry." He's like, No. He's like, "I'm just remembering good times," and he gladly signed that for me and started talking to me about Chris Candido and Bam Bam and Triple Threat and stuff. And I'm sitting there listening to Shane Douglas stories for like the next 2 hours.
That's he has. I'll say this, and this isn't you saying it. He sometimes has a bad rep, but every time I met him, maybe it's a bad rep with the guys in the locker room or the business or whatever. Man, he loves his fans. He goes out of his way for his fans. He has done nothing but treat me right when I've met him. He's got a deal right now that he can't do other podcasts, but I keep asking him every month, and whatever. He's like, "Man, I'll come on and do it." He's like, I got this deal for like 6 more months, or he's leading me along. Whatever. I don't care. If you want to lead me along, Shane Douglas, you're the goddamn franchise. I love you. He's been nothing but nice to me.
I can say he's always treated me well. I've met him a few times, and he's always been very nice to me. I mean, I've never done anything to piss him off that I know of.
Yet.
I just make sure not to tell him that Ric Flair is my favorite wrestler.
There you go. I'm not editing that out in case he does listen. No, but wow.
But tell you the truth, Shane Douglas has always been one of my favorites as well.
Yeah, he really has been. Since I was a little guy just watching wrestling, there's just always something about him that I'm like, man. And then when the Triple Threat came along, I almost got that tattoo. I almost did.
Well, lately I've been watching the old WF shows back in 91, 92 when Shane Douglas was working there.
Yeah.
And I've been watching him wrestle matches mostly against Paul Roma.
Oh, God, Paul Roma.
But actually, they were opening matches, and they were good matches.
Yeah. Anytime I think of Paul Roma, I think of how he ruined the Four Horsemen.
Well, the thing was, the Four Horsemen was ruined
before
when Tully Blanchard couldn't come back.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. But to add him,
but to have Roma in there, just didn't really. Well, then again. Probably when they put Sting in there before that was like a nail in the coffin too.
Yeah, that ended. That pretty much ended. Which me, you, the English professor, Chad. That ended the Horsemen that we know, and then all these other half-assery ones came around.
Well, then again, the group that was Flair, Arn, Benoit, and Pillman. Now that was a good group until, well, Brian Pillman negotiated his own release just to make it the WWE.
Yeah.
Brian Pillman is a genius when you think about it. Which I almost got to work with his son one time.
His son's lingering around our area. He's IWC, Imagine, so maybe
I was supposed to manage him at a show, and the show was canceled 2 hours into the show without the show actually starting because the doctor never showed up.
That's a pisser.
And I was supposed to. Well, at first I was supposed to manage Lord Zoltan against the Honky Tonk Man.
Wow.
Yeah, I was supposed to do that, and then they left to go to IWC that same night, and they moved me to the Beastman Brian Pillman Jr. match that was supposed to happen. If you don't know who Beastman is,
Beastman's amazing. He's amazing.
Oh, yeah. So I'm supposed to manage him against Pillman, and then so I was like, all right, I'm getting ready. Like, I'm going to work with him, and all of a sudden it's like the show was canceled because the doctor they couldn't get the doctor. We had a doctor, but then the doctor canceled like on the way to the show, and they were scrambling and trying to get another doctor, and so you can't start a show without a doctor, you know.
Yep.
So it's like a lot of us went out and just started selling merchandise to try to keep the fans happy.
Yeah.
I mean, I was actually giving away T-shirts. Ugh. Only because I didn't want those people to like turn around and beat me up.
Right. Hey, let's do one last question.
Another thing about Pillman.
Okay, go ahead.
Another thing about Pillman, though. I had talked to him, and he loved my cane because at the time I had a horse head on that cane. So this reminds me of like the cane my dad had. Can I have this? I go, no. And I had to keep an eye on my cane all night because he kept taking my cane and like just messing around with it. And then I asked him, I was like, hey, did you ever get that kiddie pool replaced? And he just looked at me. He's like, oh, no, we didn't get the GoFundMe started yet. He said Stone Cold should be paying for that. I was like, he should be.
One last question, then I'll let you go back to your duties tonight, and we'll reconvene again because, dude, I could talk to you forever. Of the legends that you have managed, all right, who did you have like the most fun with? What was your favorite night with any of the legends that you managed?
Oh, man, that's a loaded question.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, tell you the truth, probably the beginning of my career where I managed Abyss for like 2 matches in the same night, because Abyss was so easy and I was so young and as a rookie then, and like literally my second show, and he knew I was scared still.
Green.
Yeah. And he just calming me down. Like, he's the coolest guy ever. I also got to drink at the bar with him afterwards. That was pretty cool. And it's like, yeah, I'd say Abyss.
Nice.
I really liked working with Abyss. That was pretty good.
All right. We'll let you go this round. We'll call you back if I can find your number again. If you keep me on speed dial, I'll keep you on. Now that I found this number, but
yeah.
let's plan again when we're gonna do this and have you back for some more, maybe some road stories, maybe talk about some more legends, because the fans love this shit. They love to hear you working with people, and then you taking the brunt of both of it. I love the snake stories this time.
Yeah, we could probably come up with some other stories. Maybe next time we could talk about ring injuries or something like that.
Besides piss and blood again in your kidneys?
Well, we could talk about where I got slammed into thumbtacks and or Legos.
Let's not go there. That is actually one that I want to talk about. I want to talk about you and Legos because I know the story, but other people might not.
Well, there's a couple times where I did Legos.
All right, well, leave it go at that. I will let you go. Go back and eat your caviar or whatever the hell that you told me before that you're going to eat.
Well, right now I'm just going to go for a Chicago deep dish pizza. I mean, I'm from New York, okay? I love the New York pizza. It's not a real pizza unless you fold it and watch the grease strip off of it. But Chicago tries.
Chicago does try. All right, have a good night.
Yep.
So Matt Bish starting riots. That's number one. Think about that. Matt Bish starting a riot. Run DMC. And, of course, all I can think of is, it's tricky, 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 tricky. Oh, man, another great spotlight. Not really a spotlight, just road stories, more or less. Road stories, backstage stories. Great, great stuff from Matt. And, again, I got to tell you my favorite. My favorite is, look at the pick. Look at the pick this week. It is Matt Bish getting his hair cut by Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Guys, that's actually a question I want to ask you. Would you feel honored to get your hair cut by Brutus the Barber Beefcake? You know it's just going to be buzz here, buzz there, here, buzz there, buzz. But would you be honored? Hair grows back. Hair grows back. I would love if Brutus the Barber would cut my hair one day. Hey, he has done it to the best. Why not do it to Can Crushers as well? Man, I love this interview, and like you heard, we'll chat with Matt again here in the near future, get a few more stories, maybe elaborate on some of the stuff him and Shane talked about, AJ Styles, stuff like that. We'll dive deeper, and I want to know more about injuries that he had. So that's something that we're going to have to talk to with Matt as well. Guys, keep sending in all the reviews to cancrusher69@gmail.com. I am just stuttering today. It's just the way that it is. cancrusher69@gmail.com. Tell us what you think of the shows. Thank you for that. Don't forget to send in your Ask Can Crushers. You know, any question that you want to ask us, send it in, and we'll answer them pretty soon. I want to say within 2 weeks we're going to do our Ask Can Crusher show again. Connect with us on social media. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of them are CanCrusher69. That's how you're going to find us. And I'm going to reach out and ask all you guys to share all our stuff. If you like this Matt Bish interview, share it. If you hate it, share it and say, God, don't listen to these guys. They really suck. That's what I'm asking you to do. Share our stuff. Get it out there. Spread Can Crushers worldwide. We are international, I'll tell you that. But let some more of the people know that we're out there, because we love what we're doing. We love talking to wrestlers. We love having all of us on Sundays just chit-chatting. And if you want to hear from Buddy, let me know. I'll reach out to some people. Maybe Matt is going to work his magic and get Bryce Remsberg on for us. That would be awesome. I have so many questions for him. I really do. But until then, guys, remember, just because you're trash doesn't mean you can't do great things. It's called the garbage can, not a garbage cannot.